This is egregious and wrong. Please read my prior motion for case management hearing I sent 6/28/23 with no response to date. I am requesting again, please to schedule. It is fair, and there are too many topics to be discussed, including my attorney, to write, and I only have one pen. Necessary, lawful, active, important topics. What is the certified notice of delinquent support filed on 8/3/23? Please grant my motions and schedule my imperative, overdue, owed meeting. Please schedule. It is my right. It is fair. Sincerely, Sarah Paulsen.
Welcome back. Today we have a doozy. So I still haven't been able to get all the letters from this divorce court case, but someone did send me a printed or typed copy of her motion for case management hearing, which you just heard in this little preview, which she brought up in a letter that we originally covered when we first heard about this divorce court case. And in there, she talks about wanting to schedule this case management conference and that she submitted a motion to schedule this case management hearing. This is the actual motion itself. And if you thought her criminal court motions were unacceptable, unprofessional, and just rude, you have no idea what you are in for. It literally hurt my voice to get through this. Partly because I've been traveling for work, but I'm still going to blame her. I'm just going to do that. That makes me feel better about myself. So we're going to switch up the format a little bit because I know some people are here because they just want to hear the dramatic reading of Sarah's Unhinged writing anthology collection. And some are here for my extended rant commentary. So I will respect both. I'm going to run this twice where I'm just going to read out the motion at first, and then afterwards we're going to replay it and go line by line so I can get out all my emotions and the things I was screaming inside while watching this. Because wow. Just wow. And I want you to keep in mind, she is writing this as a quote unquote motion to the judge, the person who will be making a final decision about all of this. If you don't know what this is about, she's broke. She wants money. She wants alimony. She feels entitled to it, and he's not paying. So she's mad. Yes, she does have the legal whatever to alimony. Brian, I'm glad you kept your money anyway. Save it for your son. Save it for yourself.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
She deserves nothing. Keep all of this in mind when we go through this. I mean, she's going to tell it to us anyway, but just wow. All right, so let's jump right into it. Motion for case management hearing. Comes now, Sarah K. Boone, respondent, submits her request to the court for a motion to set case management hearing to be scheduled at the court's earliest opportunity for further explanation, clarification, and resolution of the undeniable concerns still pending. 1. Remove non-public status online to view print my documents. If unable, please explain why. The non-public status makes it impossible to utilize any contents I need from the website, since no one will provide for me and cannot obtain anywhere else. 2. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain reasons for lying to the court regarding buying a home when stated under oath he would be renting and was part of the granting of his temporary petition to relocate. 3. Please supply a rightful copy of my still active dissolution of marriage. 4. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain reasons for lying to the court about paying alimony to Sarah K. Boone and not abiding by the still active dissolution of marriage or direct orders by Judge Dean. He delegates what I cannot purchase with my owed alimony funds. Also tells me to stop relying on him and being annoying, begging all the time,
Then pay my monthly owed lawful alimony so I can get another account to be deposited in after letting my 30-year bank account close due to non-payment of alimony. So I can stop calling every week or every other day for commissary funds, which I've had to do ongoing 4 years, to be added to my jail account and not have to talk to former husband unless regarding my son. He makes me have to call him and be annoying for everything, for nothing. Just pay like you are supposed to be and make everyone's life easier and less stressful. I do not want to be in regular, unnecessary contact with him unless necessary. 5. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why I can't or could have been asking since last case management hearing on 9/19/22 store my car, my last ultimate resource, on a paid lot. I cannot see my son all the way in Gainesville go anywhere to get my life back in order when, not if, the time comes. I have been forced by former husband and the court to lose my car from non payment of owed alimony and his permissible contempt. 6. Explain how former husband Brian C. Boone can purchase numerous frivolous items such as a bidet, $1,200, virtual reality video games, controls, headgear, $1,000, alcoholic beverages, rum, 2 to 3 times a week, packs of cigarettes every day, eat out, order in food every day, but he cannot or will not provide my alimony payment so I can purchase what I need. I never have what I need and still do not. Oh, my voice is hurting. 7. Solidify verbally in writing why the court is permitting former husband Brian C. Boone to continue being in contempt in not paying my alimony when it is not stipulated or included anywhere in my still active dissolution of marriage regarding incarceration for either party. This is my only source of income for everything. Broke ass. 8. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why he lies about ordering anything for me when he does not and says he does. I have reprimands from arguing with vendors and officers over the phantom orders that were never placed by him. Why? Is it funny? For almost 4 years? I can't purchase what I need or want because he withholds alimony. Asterisk. I can have someone else order whatever for me, whenever, and know it's done and on the way. No lies, no problem, no abuse. Former husband just needs to pay so I can without him. Again, makes me rely on him just to lie and abuse and laugh at. 9. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why he lies about sending anything for my son. A. February 14th, 2023, Valentine's Day card. Former husband collaborated with my 12-year-old son to lie to me about making me a card. Both said they went to craft store and bought supplies. My gift to son. Had son sit down Sunday afternoon, quote, and make, then mailed the completed card the next day. I was told my son wrote me a letter and drew something nice for me. I was really going to like it. It was all a lie. They never went or did any of it. What an awful, unnecessary lie. For no reason. Nonetheless, former husband had my son part of the awful lie. How disgusting and hurtful. No card ever. B. May 4. I'm losing my voice. B. May 14th, 2023. Mother's Day card. Former husband has told me 3 times now my son has mailed my created card. Nothing has come. Another despicable lie. Why? So hurtful, and son included. C. Present date. Pictures. Lies every time.
He has sent them over and over and over with nothing received. The pictures are ordered from a professional website. Other inmates receive pictures regularly, weekly. I even had the solution to have him send anything, everything in my friend's name. Nothing ever, and keeps lying, 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 lying. This is abuse, mental, emotional torture. I have pictures, two of my now deceased dogs I need for a visit, explaining the importance to former husband, waiting ongoing now for 2 months with nothing, and I need these. I've already been unprepared for one attempted meeting, which was rescheduled from not having the pictures and still waiting to receive in time for the next. I need these pictures. It is important. And what example is former husband Brian C. Boone setting for my son all his lies all the time? That it's okay to treat women this way? Nonetheless, his mother? My son is constantly conflicted with how he is supposed to treat me and act towards me because of what has been said to him about me and my family, and is afraid Dad will be mad because he's not being mean enough to me. My son continuously puts me on mute, also, that I don't hear what dad is saying while on the phone with me. My son is a different person, not around him. 10. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain to the court why, how he believes it is right and appropriate to call me a murderer and keep slandering me, speaking ill of to my son, laughing at and mocking. 11. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why he never communicates anything to me, especially regarding my son, will avoid any additional confusion and hurt, and why he feels it appropriate to decide I don't matter in my son's life. Nothing I say or do is important, and only former husband's decisions, reasons are the best. I am not convicted and still have all my rights intact. Oh, I love it. 12. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why he's not my attorney, since he thinks and assumes he knows all there is regarding my case more than me. He thinks and assumes he knows all there is regarding being incarcerated more than me. He thinks and assumes he knows how it all works. The letters I write, how much commissary costs, the constant price raises, the regularity and cost of my medical expenses, that I am charged every day to be here in OCCD, rules, regulations, etc. He knows nothing about anything. I tell him I have printed documents showing all costs incurred since being incarcerated, so he understands, and in which I have prepared as my evidence, also have recorded phone calls for my contempt hearing, which has been postponed, allowing former husband to continue contempt and stop being so simple minded regarding my case. Stop being another ignorant follower of all the other ignorant followers. Shh, stop. Undeniable orders by Judge Michael Dean to Brian C. Boone, former husband, petitioner, have not been upheld or abided by and are in violation as ordered. They continue to multiply in severity and duration of time, and destruction, being unlawful, extremely inappropriate, and altogether wrong. Former husband is in contempt, stealing and lying to the court judge, myself, respondent. Wherefore, Sarah K. Boone, respondent, respectfully requests that his honorable court please grant this motion and enter its motion to set and keep a case management hearing regarding all undeniable aforementioned legitimate overdue concerns and owed explanations regarding and from former husband and petitioner Brian C. Boone. Sarah K. Boone, respondent, has attempted private resolution, cooperation, and discussion with petitioner numerous times over the past 4 years while incarcerated, being unsuccessful in every aspect due to the fact foremost former husband Brian C. Boone has the understanding from the court his behavior, degrading, inappropriate comments, and ongoing lies are approved and able to continue. Clarification, remedy, and solidification are requested for all undeniable concerns for all parties included in this case to avoid further confusion, difficulty, lies, and abuse going forward, especially for respondent Sarah K. Boone from petitioner Brian C. Boone. Thank you, Sarah Boone.
Uh, so yeah, that was a legal motion, quote unquote, that she submitted to a judge with the hopes of that judge giving her what she wants. Just wow. Every single time. I don't know how I'm shocked every single time. This is her exact behavior, but the way she keeps one upping herself and how shameless, how antagonistic, how overbearing and overwhelming she can be to try to force an action. This is to a judge. A judge, one of the highest authority figures in society. She is saying this to a judge, sober, in jail, knowing everyone is going to be seeing every single word she said. Imagine what she's like behind closed doors when she's drunk out of her mind and saying and doing absolutely anything she wants to anyone. She has shown there is no boundary she will not cross. And another thing you'll notice in all the letters that we've covered, it's not in this one because it was typed, but in the other ones, she completely writes over all of the margins. And I know that seems kind of innocuous and a little thing to harp on, but there is this like a correlation, right? Not causation, but correlation between those who feel comfortable enough to just write outside of the margins and those who feel comfortable enough to ignore normal social parameters, social boundaries. They have no issues crossing boundaries, even subconsciously, into saying the rules of this, the imaginary rules this paper has devised that we as a society has agreed means you are going to keep your writing within these margins. They don't apply to me. Every word I say matters, and you will hear every single word. And we know that's a difference because she doesn't do it on every letter. Sometimes she does stay in the margins when she's trying to be extra professional, but when she is really animated and emotional and over it, she uses the whole margin to cover all of it. This is all an issue for me. It is all about me. And I think it's because she thinks that if people see that the entire page is filled up, then that means this is the most important, well thought out argument submittal we've ever seen. Now, I'm not sure how this got typed up, if this was her or someone she knew or just someone online who got the letter and typed it up based off of her own notations, because she absolutely capses, underlines, quotes, asterisks, all of the punctuations, and it all reads just like her writing. So yeah, that was the initial reading of the letter. Now we're going into my extended line-by-line breakdown. I don't want to hear in the comments I talk too much. That's a you problem. Very much a you issue, not a me issue. Moving on.
All right, motion for case management hearing. Comes now Sarah K. Boone, respondent, submits her request to the court for a motion to set case management hearing to be scheduled at the court's earliest opportunity for further explanation, clarification, and resolution of the undeniable concerns still pending.
Just wow. Now that is an opening. It's just like so aggressively and pointedly written right off the top. This needs to be scheduled at the court's earliest opportunity, not at your earliest convenience. You know, the standard trying to open up this line of, hey, maybe just be cooperative, listen to what I have to say. No, at your earliest opportunity to further explain, clarify, and resolve the undeniable concerns.
All of these are facts now, right? And orders. She is ordering the judge to explain, to clarify, and to resolve all of her undeniable concerns, meaning everything you're about to hear, no matter what, I'm telling you they are undeniable. Right out the jump, I am telling you, you need to do what I am telling you. You also need to follow that up by explaining everything to me, clarifying everything to me, and resolving everything to me, as though that is my legal right. No, it is not. Just because you don't understand doesn't mean you weren't told or given all the paperwork and information to understand. Could you imagine if judges actually did whatever inmates told them to do, written in a letter, in the manner that they're asking? Yes, he will consider setting this case management hearing, which we know was set because of the future letter. And in that video, we covered the judge's order after the case management hearing. So I'll probably just tag that on at the very end to just tie it all in a bow, because she wanted this so bad. She finally had it, and this is what the judge had to say. 1. Remove non-public status online to view print my documents. If unable, please explain why. The non-public status makes it impossible to utilize any contents I need from the website, since no one will provide for me and cannot obtain anywhere else. And this is just another running contradiction, because she always complains about all of her cases being too publicized and that publicity ruins everything, yada, yada, yada. And she gets mad when everyone can see all of these documents, but then she complains when they're not public, because she wants to just be able to go on the website, meaning having one of her friends, whoever that person is, outside look up the records and then just print it out or tell them what it is. When unfortunately, you keep saying it's impossible to utilize any other whatever means. There actually are other means. You can put in requests. You can put in motions to have access to this information. You could write to the clerk's office and say, hey girl, could you check and just see if there's anything I can get access to? You know, there's ways you can reach out and get it. Is it a slower process? Absolutely. You are in jail. Sometimes gotta kind of just let that sink in, because she doesn't quite get it. You are in jail. Nothing is supposed to be easy or simple for you. Things take time. They will get it to you when they can. This is not a pressing concern, more or less, because you haven't shown there's a pressing concern. You're just telling, I don't know.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
But whatever, you can't have it both ways. You already are admitting all the way back here that you wanted this case public. And now that everyone is going to be starting to look through this and cover it, I'm sure you're going to be mad. This should have been made private. Why is this? Why is that? Multiple reasons. It was non-public. That has been established, and you're mad about it. I know she hasn't brought it up now in this specific motion, but she talks about it constantly of there's no privacy in anything and all this, all that. Whatever. 2. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain reasons for lying to the court regarding buying a home when stated under oath he would be renting and was part of the granting of his temporary petition to relocate. I have no idea what she's going for here. Train had no clue either. We're both confused. My apologies, Linda. I thought you were finished. There is no excuse for me interrupting you. Won't happen again. But if I were to translate, I think Train said, we have no idea where she's going with this. I think that she is saying, He is supposed to be renting this place to relocate their son, but he's trying to buy a new place and permanently move away, as though if she got out of jail, she was going to restart her life and demand him bring their child back so that she would have more access to ruin his life. A lot of assumptions and a lot of leaps that we have to make to get there. The biggest one being, you really think, like, it's weird to me because it's like, you think you are getting out of jail so much and that you are going to get off with literally murdering George. You think you're going home, like you're getting off 100% going home, to the point where you need to think of the minute detail of, when I get out of here, my son is going to be slightly farther away than where I would be. I need to complain about that now. And how do I know this? Because he is buying and not renting. So I need the judge to yell at him for buying and not renting a place to relocate their son. Meanwhile, the only reason he is relocating their son is because of her and all of the negative publicity and antics and everything that has been brought upon them because of her. Solely because of her. They didn't do anything to deserve this. And now she's saying that she's the one being punished for them trying to find safety and security. I just realized my voice sounds really angry right now. I'm not, but I think it's just like, yeah, it's just the tone I am right now. But if I sound angrier than normal, I'm not. Anyway, she is not going to get access back to their son. He deserves to be able to live apart, away from her. If he wants to go see her, he deserves to have that right. If he doesn't want to go see her, he deserves to have that right too. She will use every legal or authoritative system possible to force her chess pieces where she wants them to be. Just the act of them moving away, even though she knows it's for their own protection. Unacceptable. Because it might inconvenience her in the future if she does get away with murder. This also reminds me of that Ezra case. I still never learned her last name. Terrible murder person. She's in jail for the rest of her life. And in the letters that she wrote, or the jailhouse calls, I can't remember which one it was, but the prosecution was able to read these during the victim impacts, during sentencing, in order to add, for the judge to be able to consider these. And so I feel like if the prosecution wanted to, they could do something similar with the letters that she has put out there. And in those letters or calls, Ezra talked about wanting to dye her hair, wanting to do this, can't wait to do that when she gets out, was admitting that no matter, she was already planning her life ahead. It does not matter the horrifying facts against them, how obvious it is that they are guilty. They are assured that they are going to get out. Not even just assured they are going to get out, they need to force people to do things, or they need to make plans to such specific detail in order, and I get it, you're dreaming of what you're going to do when you get out. However, when you know you're guilty, it makes you look even more heartless. And you know you're guilty. Why? Because you filmed it. And admitted it. You just believe for some reason the law should be that if you didn't intend to, in your mind, want him to die because of the actions that you did, then that means you should just go home. That's what you're arguing. You keep saying things are legally being taken away from you because of X, because of Y. No, you did a horrific thing, and now you are suffering the consequences of it.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. What's up? What's up? Trying to...
And you can't stand it. And you don't believe you should have to. So you think you can Karen your way through the legal system, warp it into a Sarah. You are the Pokemon evolution of a Karen. You think you can Sarah your way through the entire legal system. And just because you yell at people using very pointed language, everyone just has to believe and do what you say. Sorry. 3. Please supply a rightful copy of my still active dissolution of marriage. 4. Have former husband, Brian C. Boone, explained reasons for lying to the court about paying alimony to Sarah K. Boone and not abiding by the still active dissolution of marriage or direct orders by Judge Dean. And we're going to see her do this a lot, but she is literally telling the judge to ask Brian why he's lying. She's telling on him. She's tattling on Brian, saying, well, you need to just ask him why he's lying about blah, 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 as though the judge is just going to call you all in and go down your list of grievances saying, hello, Mr. Boone. I have received a list of questions and concerns from Miss Sarah, and we must go through them, and you will answer every single one of them to the satisfaction of Miss Sarah. And if not, we will just keep going. We'll keep going through this until you do what she says. That is what she wants as a response to all of this. Because how? Because I hate these arguments, and in any time where people just throw an accusation, you're lying, this is bad, this is illegal, without getting specific at all. I mean, at least follow up with he's lying about paying alimony. He says he's paid it this date, this date, this date. I haven't received a payment since this date. But no, it's just he's lying, blanket it, all of it. And he's not following your rules. See, tattling on you again. Hey teacher, he's not following the rules over there. Go yell at him. Nya, 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 nya. It's very that. Every single one of these points is trying to point and I don't know, it's not even building an argument for herself. It's just trying to say, look, Brian's being a meanie McStupid pants. So please tell him to cut it out and give me all of his money. And then say that I'm a good mother because I'm taking money away from raising my son. He delegates what I cannot purchase with my owed alimony funds. Also tells me to stop relying on him and being annoying, begging all the time. Then pay my monthly owed lawful alimony so I can get another account to be deposited in after letting my 30-year bank account close due to non-payment of alimony. So I can stop calling every week or every other day for commissary funds, which I've had to do ongoing for years. She packs just so much in such a short amount of time, and it's always so problematic. My owed alimony. You are not owed anything, because this is under the assumption that if you were together, you were owed access to all of his money. You were still unemployed, adding nothing of value to this relationship. You were a succubus on that family, and you provided nothing back. Maybe you did at one point in time, but it wasn't recently. Yet you feel entitled to every single one of his resources. And I know in your mind, it's like, it's a measly little $1,000. Why can't you just give me that every single month? As though that can't be monumental when raising a child. And I am still aware that she does not have anyone else, and that is unfortunate, and I do have empathy for that. However, that is not Brian's responsibility to fill that void, to be all of those things for her, to be everything for her. She is putting all of that on him. Because he is not doing this one thing for her, he has taken away her livelihood. He has abused her. He is making her call him every week. She said every week or every other day or so. You know it's every day, which is kind of weird because normally you would go the other way of making me call every day or, every week. But no, it's like every week. Well, actually more, it's every other day because I hound him. He makes me do this. If he just paid what I want him to do, he would be fine. That is just the same circular arguing that every abuser is known for. Every textbook, surface level, no intricacies or nuances to them. They are just an abuser, an aggressor, a manipulator. This is that tactic. You are making me do this. You realize I wouldn't be annoying and begging all the time, meaning she acknowledges that she is doing those things. She acknowledges, one, he said it to her, and that she also would characterize her behaviors as being that way, but that's only because he is making her do it. He's making her abuse him. He's pulling that out of her, forcing her against her will to nag, to berate, to insult, to bring the child in, to be relentless again and again and again. That somehow Brian, trying to move on with his life and trying to get away from you as much and as far as he can. Look, when y'all had a son together, that did not mean that he was bound to you. That means he is bound to that child. If you are there, that's fine, but that does not mean he has to be bound to you. Y'all are divorced. That chain was severed. Yes, there are some things that he has to do in regards to the child, but incarceration is a huge factor that can get alimony terminated. This is not something, because it's about like your financial situations. If your financial situations drastically change, and I mean, she went from having nothing, right? On the outside, she was only being funded by Brian's alimony. She had nothing else. So she went from zero funds, only living off of the alimony, to now having the government cover everything. Room, board, meals, water, shower, all the good stuff, health care. The government's taking the bill on all of that. So while in other cases it may look like a downgrade from where they were previously, for her, since she was already solely living off of the alimony as her only support system, and meaning she has zero, she has nothing, her resources have drastically changed for the better. Truly, honestly, because if that money just went away, she would have had nothing. So it's not like they both had a big amass of wealth. The reason for alimony is so that you can maintain the lifestyle ideally, or a similar lifestyle to the lifestyle you had when you were together. And that is similar arguments that are around child support. You pay child support because the child is entitled to the lifestyle they would have had if both parents were involved. That's why child support payments are based off of that. And alimony is not the same, but they are like tangentially connected in terms of reasoning. Base reasoning. To be added to my jail account and not have to talk to former husband unless regarding my son. He makes me have to call him and be annoying for everything, for nothing. Just pay like you are supposed to be and make everyone's life easier and less stressful. I do not want to be in regular, unnecessary contact with him unless necessary.
No unnecessary contact unless necessary, but who gets to define what necessary is? Me. And when I reach out to you, it is always necessary. Because I want what I want when I want, and I'm entitled to it because you have the money that I'm claiming ownership of. I didn't earn it. I'm just claiming ownership of it. Isn't that wild? Like, he had to buy her out in order to leave her. And she is saying, I'm entitled to the money because I told you I would leave you alone. Again, if she added something to the marriage, that would be completely different. But from all accounts so far, she did not. It's just wild to me how you can blame the victim so easily. He makes me call him and be annoying. He decides what I can and can't buy. Like, she's putting all of that responsibility on him. So because she has all of these wants, he is the one who's making her choose or whatever. I don't know. It doesn't make any kind of sense to me. And then the ultimatum threat, just pay and make everyone else's life easier and simple, meaning she knows she is the sole reason everyone's life is not simple and is not stress-free, because she will make it stressful until you give her what she wants. So the next time I call you crying, wanting you to buy me a cheeseburger or else I'll die from cancer, you better do it. 5. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why I can't or could have been asking since last case management hearing on 9/19/22, store my car, my last ultimate resource, on a paid lot. I cannot see my son all the way in Gainesville go anywhere to get my life back in order when, not if, the time comes. She lives
as the president of Delulu Nation, because this is what she was thinking about all that time. These little things. Where is my car? Put it on a paid lot so that I can get it when I'm set free after zipping my boyfriend up and taunting him as he's begging me to breathe, to let him out so he can live. And I'm admitting to you now on the stand a few years later that I beat him with a bat so that he couldn't get out, so that he had to stay forced confined until he died. I fell asleep. I didn't want him to die per se, but I was tired. So I deserve to have my life back. She is delusional. And on a paid lot, who's paying for it? Brian as well? Of course he would have to. You don't have anything. So not only are you asking for all of this, you're asking for everyone to do everything with your things. You definitely probably had the mail forwarded to him, which then becomes his responsibility to make sure that you know everything. So every time you call, you're saying, well, my friend said that they sent this in the mail, or that this was supposed to come in the mail. Did you get this? This is necessary for me to talk about. So that's why I'm calling you again every single day. But this time I won't be upset because you gave me the money that I want. So it'll be happy and fun, I promise, until you don't agree with me again and we have to start this thing all over. And that's the cycle that she has perpetuated all of her life in different iterations and various forms, but that's the general gist of it, of I will run you round in circles until you're worn out, give up. I will not give up. I am shameless and will continue to needle and ask until I get what I want, and then I will justify it the entire time and say it's your fault for even making me do this. You are bringing the monster out of me. Like, even just it makes me uneasy inside because it is such an abusive tactic. I cannot imagine being in a relationship when she is not in the pink handcuffs and she can do whatever she wants and spin whatever narrative and say, you are the reason I had to hit you and clawed you because you said this and you did this. You caused me pain. You caused me suffering. You, me. Girl, go to hell. Ooh. Sorry, Linda, retract that. But to think that you are going to have to get your whole affairs in order after getting off with this unfortunate, obscure incident that you had the audacity to label George's murder as is another realm of delusion for me. I have been forced by former husband and the court to lose my car from non-payment of owed alimony and his permissible contempt. You hear that, Judge? Now it's your fault. You know, she's respectfully asking for you to give her what she wants, and she's blaming you for not having it. Her car. You're the reason she's broke and she didn't pay to have her car. It's your fault. And you're letting it happen. You're letting him remain in contempt, his permissible contempt. And that's another wild thing to me, especially regarding criminals. They can call out every injustice against them and demand that that injustice has to be addressed and taken care of and reprimanded. However, they don't apply that to themselves. Ma'am, you were incarcerated for murder, and you're upset because you're saying he's breaking the law? Okay. So the courts should be forced to yell at Brian and reprimand him, but she shouldn't be reprimanded for her own crimes and should be set free and treated with respect, care, equality, all of this. However, I want you to yell at Brian. 6. Explain how former husband Brian C. Boone can purchase numerous frivolous items such as a bidet, $1,200, virtual reality video games, controls, headgear, $1,000, alcoholic beverages, rum, 2 to 3 times a week, packs of cigarettes every day, eat out, order in food every day, but he cannot or will not provide my alimony payment so I can purchase what I need. I never have what I need and still do not. It's giving jealousy. That's what it's giving. It's giving mayor of jealous city. which is kind of like Cop City, but not as detrimental to urban development and just minorities in general. However, how do you know these things? Did he give you itemized receipts? Did he tell you how much a bidet costs? Or did you find out he has one and then just had someone Google search it up, and then you're just assuming that whatever bidet he got is the $1,200? And you had to put in that drink. How do you know he's buying packs of cigarettes every day? Are you there with him? How do you know he's drinking rum and buying rum 2 to 3 times a week? I don't think he's telling you that unless he's gloating, which, one, honestly, that'd be really funny. I don't think he would do that. His demeanor and all of his presentations don't really coincide with that kind of cruelty. Hers does, but his don't. So it must be some machinations that she is coming up with. In my mind, she's probably taking it, manipulating answers she's getting from the son. Oh, well, does he have money to buy cigarettes? Well, yeah. Well, how many times does he buy cigarettes? I don't know. Does he buy cigarettes almost every day? I guess he buys cigarettes a lot. Is he drinking a lot? Maybe like a glass. Well, what's he drinking? Rum, I guess, or this. Well, how much is he drinking? It's like there's no reason for her to have these answers unless, one, she's making it up, two, she's going off of past information about what happened when they were married, assuming that those same costs apply today. 3, you're warping something the son told you. Or 4, you're just pulling this out of thin air to just try to throw against the wall, to have him come back and say, no, I didn't pay $1,200. I actually paid $750 on this bidet. That's just such a weird thing to complain about, right? And from what we've seen, when you skip showers, you don't like to wash your ass anyway. So leave him and his alone. And good for you, Brian. I'm glad you bought video games, headsets, anything that you can enjoy for yourself and with your son to try to provide some outlet, some escapism, something you can enjoy for yourself. Who cares how much it costs if it brings you that joy? Anything that can ease up from the tumultuous situation that you have been thrusted into. You have done nothing to deserve this. Absolutely nothing. Brian nor the son have done anything. They have been Sarah's victims as well. And she's mad that her victims wanted to get away from her. And if she wasn't like this, they wouldn't want to go no con to that cell door, take her out of that open bay, give her one roommate or none, either way is fine with me, and close that cell, and she starts to have that claustrophobic panic again. That is when it's going to set in that, oh, I don't have the rights I used to have. Everything from now on is scheduled and controlled, and I have no more power here. But until that settles in, until she is forced to confront that, finally, once she is sentenced and there is no going back, of course she's going to appeal. That's going to give her a little drop of hope. I feel like that's 90% of what the appeal process is for. Yes, it's to give everyone that opportunity to make sure they're heard and make sure that they had a fair trial, double check, triple check everything. But it's also to give them that nugget of hope right when they're transitioning back into prison. Because if they had no hope from the get, then things might look a little different. But wait for the appeal. You'll always put in an appeal. 90% of the time it's going to fail. But there might be that slim little chance, that little opportunity that you might get a new trial. Not get off, not be freed. Get a new trial. Which is what she's allegedly asking for right now. Halfway through making this video is like today or yesterday, she filed a new motion to have a new trial. I'm getting this video out first because I started it and I said so. But now I'm going to have to tackle that next of she's begging for a new trial, which is actually quite common. It's not this is not abnormal. This is something that you do to preserve the record in order to just put that out there. It's kind of like halfway through the trial when you're about to change over case in chief and the defense asks for a dismissal of the case, saying the state didn't prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. No reasonable person could ever agree with the facts and the evidence that they have portrayed. even though they more likely than not are going to lose that, they still have to put that out there to preserve it for the record. So I have no idea what's in it. I just heard that she filed one, and I rolled my eyes so much that I fell asleep. Kind of like her. But I didn't fall asleep intentionally, so it's okay. So we'll see what arguments she makes there. And Mr. Owens filed that for her. Still, I know he's not going to handle her appeal. He said, hell no, I have to go. See you later, bye. But this is him probably setting up for the appellate lawyer to take over. Like, here's my last little bit of help that I can give you. I can put up this useless argument that will get shot down 100%. But then I will pass you off to someone else, and you'll be someone else's problem. And what also that tells me is when she's talking about the video games, virtual reality, the controls, the headset, she's hearing all these specifics. I imagine the son was probably explaining happy, being like, oh, we just got this new game set. It's so fun. I do this. I have this, this, and that. And instead of enjoying and appreciating that their son is having a good time, because I don't believe Brian would just come out of nowhere saying, yeah, we're playing video games. But it makes way more sense that the son would bring it up. What have you been up to? Oh, we just got this really cool game and it's so cool, Mom. I have to tell you about it. We do this, we do that. It's like this, it's like that. And instead of being happy for her child, happy that he can find some little semblance of joy, it is, that money could have been mine. How dare you? And you brought my son into this? That's what she sees, because she can't actually empathize with other people without filtering it through her own mental and life experience. And it's a long ass filter. So by the time those emotions get filtered all the way through, the only thing that is left is only what is about her. Okay, moving on. 7. Solidify verbally in writing why the court is permitting former husband Brian C. Boone to continue being in contempt in not paying my alimony when it is not stipulated or included anywhere in my still active dissolution of marriage regarding incarceration for either party. This is my only source of income for everything. Broke ass.
And now you're making demands of the judge to explain to you verbally and written why Brian is allowed to be in contempt. You see how this works, like how controlling she really is and has to be of everything, because he's not doing what he wants and because you're not yelling at him for not doing what she wants. You need to explain to her, both written and verbally, Mr. Judge, why you are allowing this to happen, as though she has any power whatsoever. This is not criminal court. This is civil court. They do not have to provide you with shit. They do in general, but they're not guided under the same restrictions as criminal court is in terms of getting you all the information and every little thing you need to know in order for you to have a fair, equal opportunity. Civil court doesn't work that way. You still have access to all this stuff, but you can't just make people jump when you snap your fingers. And you're used to being able to play those antics in criminal court because they have to do stuff to continue to protect the record to make sure that this criminal conviction cannot be overturned. Of course, judges still don't want appeals in civil court, but it's a little different and it's a little get the fuck over it, right? Don't ask me for no written damn verbal explanations to why I'm not punishing someone you think is in the wrong. He is going through the right methods by writing this motion, doing this petition to have alimony terminated. He is not paying you because he is in the process of having it ended. This is not him being in contempt since he has written the motion. If he didn't write the motion and he just wasn't paying and the judge had no idea he wasn't paying, then he's in contempt of the order. But when you say, I am in the process of trying to have this eliminated, and until I do that, I am not going to pay. The judge is not going to say, you must pay, you're in contempt. The judge is going to say, wait until we view everything, and then when I view everything, and if I determine that you need to back pay all of this stuff, I will determine that. But if I determine that
alimony needs to be terminated, I can retroactively terminate that alimony from the day that she was incarcerated, saying, you're good. You don't have to pay any back pay or any future pay, because the moment she was incarcerated, her financial situations changed, and thus you should not be bound by the same terms of your alimony agreement, dissolution of marriage, whatever. And she has the audacity to say, well, incarceration was not written into our marriage agreement, so there should be no issues there. Yeah, girl, no one thinks you're going to be a murderer when you divorce someone. So yeah, that's not really just instantly put in there, thought to be put in there, especially since you didn't have the record that you should have had. The amount of laws this woman has broken, because remember, assault and battery is against the law. She just hadn't gotten caught and had him talk her case away. But if she had gone to jail that many times and then they still had this agreement, yeah, maybe they probably would have stipulated, and if you get locked up again, then this is all done. But since he said, you know what, I just want the mother of my child out of my life because she brings nothing but chaos and disarray, here she can have this little $1,000 to stay out of my life. But she's behind bars now. She's out of my life. I don't have to pay her to stay away. So I don't want to pay her anymore. Which it is a special kind of cruelty when you have to pay your abuser in order to leave that relationship because you were the main provider and not them. And the irony is she recognizes this is her behavior because she's admitted that's her behavior. And then she tries to mirror that. One, mirror it and blame it on Brian, but also mirror it in her relationship with George, where she is the one who's in Brian's position, paying for everything and saying that George is just using her and can't provide for her and that this and that. So it's unacceptable when George used her resources, quote unquote, they're actually Brian's resources, but they were in her account that's now closed, used her resources, quote unquote, to get alcohol, cigarettes, all this stuff. She used money over him, ripping up the birth certificate so he can't cash his own checks. She likes having control on everyone's money around her, as if she earned it herself. As I've said this a million times, and I will never get over, honestly, I will never get over the fact that she was jobless for 2 years and has this attitude of entitled self-superiority. At least most sociopaths and psychopaths are somewhat successful, you know? They benefit in those fields because a lot of those high money-making positions require morally gray and ambiguous figures in order to reach the top. So at least they are doing something for themselves. She did nothing and thinks she's the CEO of America. To talk to a judge like this is wild. And then to always say, no one cares about me. No one's being nice to me. I just need people to be nice to me. When she asked Cranick to tell Miss Cashman Esquire to be nicer to her, I'm like, what do you think this is? You think this is daycare? You think this is murderer daycare where people are supposed to be nice to you and make sure you're happy? Nar, absolutely no. And the fact that she says it's her only source of income with such confidence, as though, of course, this is all I have. And she sees nothing wrong with that at all. She literally added no value to society, so might as well lock her up.
8. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why he lies about ordering anything for me when he does not and says he does. I have reprimands from arguing with vendors and officers over the phantom orders that were never placed by him.
At least she's admitting that she argues. I remember in another hearing when they we're talking about the ankle cuffs, when that officer on the stand brought up that she refused to go to court 3 times. She said, what do you mean? I've never refused to go to court, not one time. I've never argued. I've never done any of that. Yes, you have. We know you have. You have so many IMS records that say you have records for being in arguments with people. So I'm glad you're finally admitting that. But then you're blaming that on Brian. You're saying you are the reason that I was disrespectful and got in arguments with vendors because things didn't show up that you never ordered. Yes, is that annoying? Is that upsetting? Sure.
But also, he didn't force you to yell at people. He didn't force you to get in arguments. That's a you thing. But you don't take responsibility for any of your actions, so it's his fault. Did he make you zip up the suitcase too? If he had come over that night, you would have said yes. No doubt in my mind about that.
Why? Is it funny? For almost 4 years? I can't purchase what I need or want because he withholds alimony. Asterisk, I can have someone else order whatever for me, whenever, and know it's done and on the way. No lies, no problem, no abuse.
So you lied when you said you had no other resources and no other options. Because if other people are buying stuff for you, how about you go bug them? How about you beg them every single day? How about you write letters about your friends not giving you enough money or anyone else you can leech off of? Whatever.
Former husband just needs to pay so I can without him. Again, makes me rely on him just to lie and abuse and laugh at.
He makes you rely on him. He is telling you to leave him the F alone, but you won't. And so because he won't give you what you want, he's making you do this. And I don't even know, and that's what I wonder. Does she actually hear what she says with comprehension, or does she just hear the manipulative intent of, if I say these words like I have in the past, you will give me what I want, without actually recognizing what she's saying? Or does she have an actual understanding of that contradiction and still thinks she's entitled to it anyway? Honestly, all of it could be true. And sorry that my comments are getting kind of repetitive, mainly because she is. Also, as you can tell, I don't script this, right? I don't script any of my videos. It's just me talking into a computer. That's it. So if things get a little rambly, if things get a little repetitive, it's because that's just how it is. Let's just say it's a lovable flaw of mine.
9. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why he lies about sending anything for my son. A. February 14th, 2023. Valentine's Day card. Former husband collaborated with my 12-year-old son to lie to me about making me a card. Both said they went to craft store and bought supplies. My gift to son. Had son sit down Sunday afternoon, quote, and make, then mailed the completed card the next day. I was told my son wrote me a letter and drew something nice for me. I was really going to like it. It was all a lie. They never went or did any of it. What an awful, unnecessary lie. For no reason. Nonetheless, former husband had my son part of the awful lie. How disgusting and hurtful. No card ever.
Girl, sit down. Don't nobody care about you and your lack of a Valentine's Day card. A Valentine's Day card? This isn't even Mother's Day. Well, right now. This is not even a Mother's Day card. Why do you feel entitled to a Valentine's Day card? You know how many people go around life not having Valentine's Day, whatever? But millions. So why do you think you're entitled to it when you're in jail and divorced? If George was alive, he could write you one. But he's not. You're not together with Brian. You don't have a Valentine. You have the love of your son that you taint every single time you bring him into this. And I mean, just put yourselves in that son's shoes. And your mom keeps using you as a pawn again and again and again. Never stops bringing you up when it benefits her. And while Brian might be staying away from some things as their son is getting older and, you know, kids look up stuff they shouldn't all the time and they're drawn to that, there's no doubt in my mind he has read up on his mother and seen things that he never wanted to see, hear things that he never should have heard, and now has to live with those experiences, trying to put everything together of, oh, all of this was happening while she was allegedly taking care of me. Every time I went over to that house now makes sense now. It makes sense that these arguments would happen. It makes sense that all this drinking would happen. It made sense that the apartment was a mess. It made sense that there was no structure and that my mom left me at school an uncountable amount of times because her life was a mess. and now she wants to suck you into that mess just because she ruined her own life by taking someone else's. And since she doesn't have anyone else to claw onto, she will sink her fangs and her claws into the two people she thinks can't leave her. And then she'll be shocked, and is shocked, when they try to leave her. And I wonder why. You berate them nonstop and can't believe that they are not endlessly compassionate towards you. And she said the same thing about George's family, how they were unforgiving and unaccepting, how they should have just let all of her abusive things go and just accept and accept and accept, forgive, 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 and give and give and give. So no, they don't have to make a Valentine's Day card for you. You can grow the F up and get over it. How about you make him a Valentine's Day card? How about you make a special card out of the little construction paper? Instead of writing a fucking million letters, how about you write a letter to your son? How about that? I wonder how many. How many letters have you actually written to your child? You probably make the phone calls, you probably beg Brian to have the visitations, but do you put that effort in, you put to these motions, these letters, these complaints, as you do with your child? The answer is no, 100%. I'm not even going to debate on that. If more evidence comes out that says that she is a good mother and she always checks in with him and makes sure that he feels special, good on her, I'll take it all back. All the evidence we see so far says it's the opposite, that she uses him at his convenience. And you can even tell that the former husband collaborated with my 12-year-old, meaning they came together. My 12-year-old is a part of this scheme to lie to me. Even if you think your 12-year-old is lying to you because of the influence of former husband, I would put all the blame on the husband. They didn't collaborate, as in both equal parties coming up with this plan. You would use the rhetoric of, he manipulated him. He made my child lie to me. My child would never want to lie to me. But no, in this instance, they were co-collaborators, equal in this plan and in its execution to lie to you. Now, I don't know if it's a complete lie, if it was lost in the mail, because they go through the mail to make sure everything is on the up and up. If he made a card that had something that was contraband and not permissible by the court, by the jail, it would get thrown away. And she wouldn't get a notification, hi, you were sent something in the mail, but it was tossed because it wasn't proper or went against regulations. But because you got no card ever, you never got one, it was 100% a lie. And they all did it maliciously. What, to make fun of you? Is this a joke? Honestly, you are the joke. And even if it was a cruel joke, who cares? Right? You laughed at George while he was taking his last breath. You thought that was fucking hilarious. That was the biggest joke in the world. That's on you. That's on you. Now, you want us to feel bad because you didn't get a Valentine's Day card? Go to sleep. Go to sleep, take a nap, put down this pen, and let it be. If people don't want you in their life, they don't want you in their life. Give them the effing space to breathe and to figure out what life is without your horrific influence, while you sit there and try to get yourself under control. Really analyze the behaviors that you have exhibited and that you have set examples of for your child. And I'll get back to this point when we get there later on, but these are the things you're teaching your son. You're teaching him that this is normal, that a girl is in love with you if she berates you, endlessly attacks you. If your partner talks to you this way, it means that they love you because your mom is telling you that she loves you. And even though he probably is smart enough to discern that difference, on some level, those subliminal messages are being instilled in him to where even if his future partners aren't as bad as his mom, at least they're not as bad as his mom. So he'll put up with some abuse just like his father did, because now his perceptions of what love is and what love he should accept and reject has been influenced by a terrible human being. Just a fact. I joked, sometimes saying that she's unredeemable. Everyone is redeemable. I do truly believe that. It takes a lot for some people, but I don't think anyone is truly a lost cause unless they want to stay lost. She never wants to be found. She just wants the world to reconstruct itself around wherever she finds herself in the abyss that she has created on her own. And she wants to drag as many people down into the abyss with her. No. Brian is doing the best he can for that child by keeping him as far away from you and as happy as he can. So let the boy enjoy a headset and get over not having a freaking card.
B. May 14th, 2023. Mother's Day card. Former husband has told me 3 times now my son has mailed my created card. Nothing has come. Another despicable lie. Why? So hurtful, and son included.
Again, no proof of this. She's just saying, I never received a card, meaning he never did it, and he lied to me about doing it. Even though we know in her criminal trial, she yells and complains about not getting stuff in the mail at certain times, and they send that as timely as possible. But of course, if you don't get it, then it's a lie. How hurtful. How hurtful? How hurtful. I wonder what else was hurtful. Emotional, physical, any kind of pain imaginable. But you not getting a Mother's Day card. That is so hurtful. It actually makes me glad she's not getting it, because she doesn't deserve that. She never gave that kind of love to anyone else, that kind of compassion. So why does she think she deserves it back?
C. Present date. Pictures. Lies every time. He has sent them over and over and over with nothing received. The pictures are ordered from a professional website. Other inmates receive pictures regularly, weekly. I even had the solution to have him send anything, everything in my friend's name. Nothing ever, and keeps lying. Lying. This is abuse, mental, emotional, torture.
She literally tortured someone to death in one of the most horrific ways imaginable. But she doesn't see it as that. She says she's innocent. She says she's going home. She says, put my car on a paid lot because I'm going to need to be able to figure out my affairs when I get out of here. She said, don't move too far away because when I get out of here, I need you closer to me. She doesn't acknowledge a thing she did as torturous, demeaning. And the thing is, it's not even just the locking him in the suitcase. It's its own kind of cruelty and torture to lock someone in a suitcase and walk away. It is a whole other level to film them, to hear them begging for police to respond to them with fuck you, with all of these horrible terms and things that you could say to someone who is begging for their life. But this is torture. You watching other inmates around you have pictures and you not having pictures is torture. This is why no one believes anything you have to say. You are saying, I don't have pictures and that's torture. And you said George did all of these things that made you in fear for your life. What we're hearing is that you used the biggest words imaginable for even the smallest of inconveniences. So anytime you say you were in fear for your life, he could have started yelling. He could have picked up something. He could have slammed the door. It could have been anything. And you were in fear for your life. He's abusing you nonstop. Yet you can beat anyone up you want. And you're still being respectful and not torturous whatsoever. Just, if she thinks this is torturous and she doesn't think what she did is torturous, I wonder what prison sentence she believes she deserves. If she believes he deserves to be punished for not paying her free money.
I have pictures, 2 of my now deceased dogs I need for a visit, explaining the importance to former husband, waiting ongoing now for 2 months with nothing, and I need these. I've already been unprepared for one attempted meeting, which was rescheduled from not having the pictures and still waiting to receive in time for the next. I need these pictures. It is important.
Well, the dogs are dead. I don't really have too much of a feeling towards that. I know it's sad in general. I don't know how old the dogs are. Odds are, they probably died of natural causes, especially if one's deaf and one's blind. But that was her whole personality for years. Even when she's yelling at George to drop the case against her, he is talking about, oh, she has a 7-year-old son who she cherishes and blind Boston Terriers.
She's a good woman. Never been in trouble in her life. She has a 7-year-old son that she loves and cherishes.
A blind Boston Terrier.
She has 2 dogs. One is blind, one is deaf.
And they're gone. Okay. Sorry about that. But why do you need the pictures? That's where I'm thrown. How are pictures of your dogs, who you've seen and known for their whole lives, probably, presumably, what does that matter? You said you had a meeting that you were unprepared for because you didn't have pictures of your dogs. See, it's like she's making a mountain out of a molehill. She's given a whole humongous paragraph, caps, big underlined words, yelling basically over some damn pictures of some dogs. And again, this is a judge she's talking to. She wants the judge to say, do you have the pictures of the dogs? Can you hand over the pictures of the dogs? That's not how any of this works. She is in for it when it comes to civil court, because civil court doesn't give an F about giving you all the information you think you need. It is very much, here's the info out here. You can either pay attention and read it or not. You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it. But it is what it is. And we're not going to bend to every little thing you want, every little request you have. You better go ask Daddy Kraynick. Cray Daddy might give you something, but not here, not at Judge Dean's house. And it literally hurt my voice going, lying. Like, these pictures of the dogs are where she's blown up the most. Like, this is unhinged writings and behaviors. I don't get it. I don't get how she thinks this is going to translate. That the judge is going to read this and say, wow, she's clearly very upset and impassioned. And it's all because of Brian. Get him in here now, Linda. You hear that car, Brian? That car's coming for you. It just makes her look like even more of a joke, and a petty joke at that. She's not even a good joke. That's the thing. Like, she's a forced, flat street joke. Anyone can pick it up. It's always going to land flat every single time. But it's a joke in the back of the pocket, and it will be forever. You can pull up Sarah Paulsen.
He's escaping! The killer is escaping! Help me!
The artist formerly known as Miss Boone Esquire, and as a punchline to anything, and it will land. Well, it won't land, but it will fit. And it's because of stuff like this, because you are a joke. You could have actual viable arguments that could be listened to if formulated in a respectful and professional manner. You refuse to do that. You believe your anger is justified. We know you have no issue at yelling at police officers, judges, anyone at any time. And you even do that through letters. But then as soon as you get face to face and he says, say it to my face, you're, oh, well, I was just wondering if you could get Brian to actually kind of just be a little nicer to me because he's a big meanie and I didn't know what I was doing and he bullied me and that's not really how I am. It's only how I am when he does this stuff to me. Like, get out of here with that. And what example is former husband Brian C. Boone setting for my son all his lies all the time? That it's okay to treat women this way? Nonetheless, his mother? My son is constantly conflicted with how he is supposed to treat me and act towards me because of what has been said to him about me and my family, and is afraid Dad will be mad because he's not being mean enough to me. My son continuously puts me on mute, also that I don't hear what Dad is saying while on the phone with me. My son is a different person, not around him. To you, I'm sure he is a different person to you because of the things you've done. Why on earth would he not be? Linda is always on time, like clockwork, always knows when to chime in, and she's right. Why on earth would he not be different around you? You're making it seem like he puts you on mute because the dad is telling him to be mean to you or whatever. No, it's because you're nosy AF and you like to butt into everyone's conversation. We know that with George. George is on the phone and you're in the background yelling, tell him that you choke me, tell him that you pull me down the stairs, because you can't stand the idea of people having conversations near you without you. So I bet him putting you on mute drives you crazy. And you try to come up with anything in your mind to fill in that gap, because the truth of the matter is she's asking questions she shouldn't be asking an 11-year-old, and he doesn't know how to answer. Brian happens to be in the room, as he should. He shouldn't just let you talk alone to his child after what you've done, saying and spouting anything you want to. Because the truth of the matter is, she is saying that Brian is poisoning their son against her, when the truth is, I will bet money she has tried to flip the script and it didn't work. And because her manipulation tactics aren't working with her son, it must be because the father is poisoning him. So he's doing wrong. And she talks about how she has to correct him when he's being mean to her and this and that. I would bet money that she says all these terrible things about the husband and that it just doesn't work in reverse. And so that's why she's really mad, because she's seeing that Brian has more influence over her. And since he has more influence, it's only because he's an abusive monster who's manipulating their son into treating you bad. How about you killed a man? You killed your son's friend. Someone that you introduced in his life for at least 3 years, to the point where Brian bought a baseball bat and a ball for y'all to play with. So obviously, Brian didn't see him as a threat. And that's the other thing of Brian was aware that George and Sarah went at it physically and that he had been arrested all of these times. But it was revealed really early when he was on that crime scene footage. For all I know, she could have started all of it. I wasn't there. He did not seem like he was afraid George was going to do something to his child. He was, to my understanding, what I'm getting, he's more worried about what Sarah is going to do with him or not do with him. But I highly doubt he'd be buying a baseball bat and a baseball bat and glove or whatever for those two to play if he thought that his child was in constant danger. And I say that to say, you killed that man. You killed a man who was another male figure in your son's life, who apparently they played with on and off. It wasn't ever, I'm sure it's not every day, and I'm sure it's not, all the time. And I'm sure they didn't have the perfect, best relationship in the world, but they could have. I don't know. Everyone says, by all accounts, both of them tried to be on their best behavior for them around the son. Both of them. So it makes no sense to me how you could kill someone who was in your child's life for 3+ years and think that's not going to have an effect on your child. That he should just forget all that and be absolutely A-okay with you and treat you like nothing is different, nothing is wrong. He will always see you as different. I know you told him, you had to have told him that George deserved it, that George came after you, that he beat you and he harmed you and that you were defending yourself or whatever else you tried to lie and manipulate people with. But now with every year that passes by, he learns more and more, and I'm sure he feels sorrier and sorrier for George, finally learning all that he had to go through and maybe more or less why he was the way he was. Not why, but why he was stuck in this cycle and acted the way he acted and didn't really improve past how Sarah would let him improve. Because we see all the time, not see all the time, because we hear from others he was making progress, that he was a loving father, that he never hit his ex-wives or anything like that. He was a ladies' man. That was the biggest issue that they found with him. And she maliciously murders him and thinks the son is only treating her differently because it must be Brian's fault. Nothing that you could have done could have possibly made your son want to treat you different. In her mind, she can't conceptualize anything other than that. If he ever calls her the murderer she is, which she gets upset. We heard in past letters, which one of them was in the future, that she pops off because apparently Brian has called her a murderer in front of her son. You are what you are, okay? He's going to know. He's going to find out. He already knows. That phone call where he called you a murderer was not the first time your child had heard that. It wasn't like he dropped a bombshell on him. He knows what you are. He knows where you are. He is choosing not to be involved in the way that you want him to be involved. You need to accept that. You need to look inward and say, have I given my child reasons to treat me different? And if I have, how do I proceed? How do I show my child that I am not the worst of my actions, that I am better, that I am still a good mom, that I do love him more than anything, and that he should love me, and that I need his love, even though I don't deserve it, whatever. There's a lot of ways you could reframe it and relook at this, right? She only sees it in one way, the same way she sees everything else. She is the victim of life, of every male, of every authority figure, of anyone who holds any position over her, lawyer, cellmate, resource officer, what have you. All of them abuse her because she is the perpetual, never-ending victim. Sorry, that's just so wild to me. And I thought I was done. I'm not done. I have another rant. She has the audacity to say again, and she said this multiple times to Judge Dean at this point, what example is he setting for my son? That it's okay to treat women like this? I hate that card, by the way, especially from abusive women who say you can't treat a woman this way even if that woman is abusing you. Absolutely not. Leave that at the door. Sorry. And he's not treating you cruelly. He's just not backbending to give you the reactions that you want, to give you this overflowing, never-ending fountain of love for a murderer who didn't even have time for him when she was out of jail. Now that she has all the time in the world, she wants to take all your time in the world. What kind of example is he setting for our son? What kind of example are you setting for your son? Are you telling him how to treat other people? You know, there's studies that show that men are more likely to be abusive or to be abusers growing up if their mother was abusive. Not even to them, but their mother abusive to their other partner. Men are more likely to internalize that and be abusive to their partners growing up. Of course, there's outliers and everything, and that this is just a correlation, not a causation. But there is a higher correlation between people who lived with abusive mothers and then males becoming abusive themselves or accepting abuse themselves. We see that in the Johnny Depp case. His mother was abusive, and he followed after his father's behaviors, who just took it until he ended up dying earlier because of the sustained abuse and other factors. Then you see as he grew up, he adopted those same tactics. Take the abuse, take the abuse, take the abuse, because that means love. That means it's okay. And it's not real abuse because that's just how things are. So you go either one way or the other. You accept love that isn't love, or you give love that isn't love. But she will play a role in his ability to do that properly. And in Depp's case, it took his mother dying for him to open his eyes. And the day after his mother, who has an abusive past, which he is involved in, died, that is when he broke up with his abuser. When he had finally had that realization of how short life is, how things look, how things should be, how things shouldn't be. What I do like about that situation is he did forgive her. He did not let her abuse rule his life and use that as a lesson to fight for himself and to find his own happiness. Who knows if he actually has? I hope he has. But that's between him and his. And now Sarah's son is going to have to be weary of their future partners and what could happen to him because of this misconception that he has about what love looks like, feels like, should be like, and is. So you want to say the example Brian is setting The example you are setting is more impactful than you will ever take credit for, and is more deplorable and depraved than you will ever know.
10. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain to the court how he believes it is right and appropriate to call me a murderer and keep slandering me, speaking ill of to my son, laughing at and mocking. 11. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why he never communicates anything to me, especially regarding my son, will avoid any additional confusion and hurt, and why he feels it appropriate to decide I don't matter in my son's life. Nothing I say or do is important, and only former husband's reasons are the best. I am not convicted.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree.
And still have all my rights intact.
Guilty of murder in the second degree.
Oh, I love it.
You are now asking the judge to tell Brian to talk to you more. As if that is a legal issue whatsoever. You are complaining, saying, why does my ex-husband not communicate anything with me? Because he's your ex for a reason. He would not be your ex if he still wanted to communicate with you regularly, if he still wanted to tell you everything. Obviously, he does not. You are not married. He does not have to tell you everything. He does not have to tell you everything about your child. You are not entitled to know every aspect about your child. You are entitled to some things here, some things there, decisions being made here, decisions being made there. You are not entitled to endless amounts of information, because that's what it would be. It would never just be Brian giving you an update. It would be an update followed by a million questions, followed by a million other questions saying you don't like the course of action and that you want things to pivot, even though you have a very low understanding of most things. You understand a thesaurus, but when it comes to complex processes and concepts, you act like maybe you're just pretending for 4.5 years, but you cannot figure anything out. None whatsoever. You have difficulties doing everything. You have difficulties understanding everything because you make people repeat things until they say the things you want them to say. And after a while, you give up on that. No one has time to try to play these games with you all day, every day. I know you have time. You have nothing but time. But he doesn't, and neither does the judge. I know the judge is just laughing at himself, being like, she really thinks this is going to work out for her by yelling at the judge. Okay. And also, it is appropriate for him to call you a murderer in front of your son because your son needs to know that. Trying to hide that from him does not help him. It only helps you and your feelings. I can guarantee all the kids at school who can put 2 and 2 together have told him, asked him questions, and probably have taunted or mocked him about it because kids are evil. Especially when it comes to insecurities and things they think hit below the belt. They have no issue with that. So, he 100% knows who and what you are. Him saying that is appropriate because he needs to teach his son who these people look like, what this behavior looks like, that even though you hear someone act like XYZ, they are still a vicious murderer. Convicted murderer. I can say it all day, every day now. No more allegedly. Allegedly is out the window. She is 100% determined to be a convicted killer, murderer of George Torres. And she should spend the rest of her life behind bars because of it. And it's because of actions like these. You have shown no development whatsoever. No out. Train also knows a murderer when she sees one as well, and the facts are the facts. And you're telling the judge that he's hurting your feelings And that's why he needs to do something about it. Can you imagine if judges and the legal system went after people for hurting your feelings? We'd all be in jail. She just has such a warped perception of life and reality that she can't even fathom how ridiculous she sounds.
12. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why he's not my attorney, since he thinks and assumes he knows all there is regarding my case more than me. He thinks and assumes he knows all there is regarding being incarcerated more than me. He thinks and assumes he knows how it all works. The letters I write, how much commissary costs, the constant price raises, the regularity and cost of my medical expenses, that I am charged every day to be here in OCCD, rules, regulations, etc. He knows nothing about anything. I tell him I have printed documents showing all costs incurred since being incarcerated, so he understands, and in which I have prepared as my evidence, also have recorded phone calls for my contempt hearing, which has been postponed.
That is so ironic because you are the one who thinks that they know everything about everything. You thought you knew more about your case than your lawyers. You thought you knew more about law than your lawyers until you were made to be one on your own. And then you wanted to get out of that. You realized how hard it actually was, and you sat that ass down and you let Mr. Owens try his best. But before then, you thought you knew it all. And now you're mad because Brian thinks he knows it all. And I'm sure he doesn't actually think that way. He tries to give her information that he can actually Google and find things out. She can't. And so she thinks that he is looking down on her, or he does know more, pretty much, or he has access to more knowledge than you. You're just mad because you're supposed to be the know-it-all, and that no one is supposed to question you, because when you are in your outside controlled bubble full of alcohol and disarray, you are allowed to overwhelm people until they just agree with you. And now where you are forced to listen to people and they come to you with facts and opinions you don't like, you can't take it. Assumes. Like, she tries any little thing to demean, insult, needle, or just be rude about, and then cowards away from it like a true coward that she is, because absolutely she is a coward. On top of everything else, she may be bold and have the nerve to say whatever to anyone, but she is very much a coward when it comes to accepting responsibility for her actions. And yeah, jail does cost a lot. You do have to pay for so many things they don't tell you about, and they just keep tallying that bill up. So once you get out of jail, a reason why it's a merry-go-round. You can't pay off your debts inside, you can't pay off your debts outside, so it keeps you coming back, because odds are, if you're going to get money, you're probably going to find ways to make money, and not the most legal ways imaginable, or in ways that people can exploit and say that you're doing something wrong, because you don't have that many options once you become a convicted felon. None of this really applies to her or matters, but yeah, you are being charged, literally. And literally, you're being charged in every way possible for the crime and for all the resources that you utilized, which is why I can't wait to see what Judge Kranick makes you pay back for all of those free expert witnesses you got, that you just thought you could use absolutely every resource to no end, and you didn't have to pay back anything. And you wouldn't have if you were found free. But you're not, so you do. And he knows that. He knows you have costs you can't cover. He does not care, because that is not his problem. You are not his problem. You are not his child. You are not his wife. You are not his life. Deal with it. And recorded phone calls. How do you have a recorded phone call? Do you stuff it underneath your bed or in your little lockbox with your smuggled fucking cheese? How do you have a recorded phone call? It must be your friend outside who has it in some whatever way possible. That makes no sense. Are you recording the call, or are you talking about the recorded call from the police, from the jail itself? And if that's the route you're going, that means all of your calls are evidence against you as well. but you like to just threaten people. So look, I have a recorded phone call, so don't make me do this, don't make me do that. They'll get you this time. They're not playing around. I can't believe she said that in that interrogation when she goes, he started going to his classes and he was really doing better because he realized it's court ordered. They're not playing around. 4.5 years later, she doesn't give a damn about a court order. A court order means nothing to her. But when she could manipulate that system against George and against anyone she wanted, how she threatened to use it against the family multiple times, she was all for it. The legal system was the best system out there. Now that she's actually facing what she put other people through, can't handle it, and losing her damn mind, as evidenced through this letter. Oh, technically, legal motion. Remember that. Legal motion. Allowing former husband to continue contempt and stop being so simple-minded regarding my case. Stop being another ignorant follower of all the other ignorant followers. Shh. Stop. And this is where we reach new depths of lunacy. What? Why are you literally using slurs in a legal document? Are you kidding me right now? And that's supposed to build credence and credibility to your side? We're supposed to see your plight when you're dropping slurs left and right, name calling people just because they're doing something you don't like? And honestly, the most chilling thing to me again is that stop. Why does she just keep shushing people? She shushed George as the last thing he may have heard from her. Absolutely not. She definitely was talking to him and yelling at him when the camera wasn't rolling. But the last recorded, documented word said to George was shh. Onomatopoeia, utterance, whatever you want to call it. Stop shushing people. That's so effing weird. And just how animated she's getting, just screaming. This is her screaming over letter. Imagine how loud she gets in person. We already know how loud she got with the officers during the interrogation. Literally, the camera recording it, that microphone peaked so many times and it was overwhelming the microphone from the camera, which is feet away from her towards the ceiling. If she were in person, she would be screaming at him. And that's why when Scott said, I've got you on camera screaming, fuck you. And she's like, I wasn't screaming at him. I bet that wasn't screaming to her. To everyone else, it's screaming. To her, it is a mild warm-up before she actually starts screaming. And if this letter is any indication, if you push her, you don't give her anything she wants, you get in a long, sustained argument, things get loud really quickly. I also imagine things get violent really quickly. Living with that much instability must spike everyone's anxiety. So I'm sure no matter what, Brian is always sleeping a little better than he was. Undeniable orders by Judge Michael Dean to Brian C. Boone, former husband, petitioner, have not been upheld or abided by and are in violation as ordered. They continue to multiply in severity and duration of time and destruction, being unlawful, extremely inappropriate, and altogether wrong. Former husband is in contempt, stealing, and lying to the court. Judge myself responded. Wherefore, Sarah K. Boone, respondent, respectfully requests that his honorable court please grant this motion and enter its motion to set and keep a case management hearing regarding all undeniable aforementioned legitimate overdue concerns and owed explanations regarding and from former husband and petitioner Brian C. Boone. Sarah K. Boone, respondent, has attempted private resolution, cooperation, and discussion with petitioner numerous times over the past 4 years while incarcerated, being unsuccessful in every aspect due to the fact foremost former
husband, Brian C. Boone, has the understanding from the court his behavior, degrading, inappropriate comments, and ongoing lies are approved and able to continue.
She really does not like being called names. This reminds me of in the body cam footage when she got George arrested for the last time. She said she ran away barefoot to Brian's house because something. He hit her, he did this, he did that. He was calling her names, she ran away. The story made no sense. She forgot that she was hit in like 2 or 3 retellings of the story. However, what she did remember is that he called her names and said she was a bad mom. And that was enough for her to leave him in there for 39 days, the longest he was in there. He had hit her in the past and gone to jail. She would get him out the next day. Calling her a bad mom was the last straw for her. She can't stand being called names. And I'd insert it right here, but every time I insert that clip, I get demonetized because she gets called a C word and, YouTube doesn't like accuracy. Okay, no. But for real, she has such an issue with name calling that it is, in her mind, a form of physical abuse. That's why I believe she starts fights first. Why I believe that she is the antagonist, will hit someone first, because she hears words she doesn't like and she takes that as a physical assault. So she is justified in knocking them right back because they hurt her ego. And that's that narcissism just screaming out. Self-image is more important than anything. It's more sensitive than anything and must be protected at all cost. And then she's just yelling again and again. These are undeniable orders. He's in contempt, lying, stealing. What is he stealing? He's withholding your money. He's not stealing a damn thing, as though you earned that money. You have not earned anything. And I've said this like a million times in this video, but it still just blows my mind, her entitlement. And then she blames the court again. It's your fault for giving Brian the understanding that what he's doing is okay. You are the one who's letting him get away with this. And the courts let you get away with a lot too, right? Every time they show up, George is marked up. They let you just walk off because you called them first, which that is a whole conversation in itself, how we need to talk about the necessity of full investigations into instances like these, because the person who comes forward first does not necessarily mean they are the victim in that situation. It does mean they need to be listened to. It does mean that their claims need to be investigated and looked at, but the whole picture needs to be viewed. If you investigate into it and then the evidence shows a different story, you need to go down that different story and see what's what, and to quote her, to see what's what and how many. I hate that phrase so much. It feels so, I don't know. I don't know if that's like a thing where you live. Hate it so much. What's what and how many. She says it so many times. She has so many isms that she just ruined the English language for me. There are things that I say that I realize that she says, and I hate myself for it. And after this case, I'm going to have to go through a full deprogramming. Like Brian and their son have to deprogram myself from Sarah and get away from all of her isms, her abuse of the English language, and her abuse of everyone around her. Yet she's the victim and he's the liar. Honestly, truthfully, she's saying all of this because I believe to her heart of hearts, she wants Brian in jail too. Brian's calling her a murderer and making her feel bad, so she wants to call out his quote-unquote crimes enough to hope that he gets put in jail as well. Because that's what she does. And it's not going to work, and she can't stand it. Why? Because this is civil court. Rude awakening. Clarification, remedy, and solidification are requested for all undeniable concerns for all parties included in this case to avoid further confusion, difficulty, lies, and abuse going forward, especially for respondent Sarah K. Boone from petitioner Brian C. Boone. Thank you, Sarah Boone. And that was Sarah's motion for case management hearing that she sent to the judge in hopes that he would do what she wanted him to do. Did he? Well, let's check. I'm going to put in the order after that case management hearing right now, and then we'll circle back and wrap this up.
Order following case management conference. This cause, having come before the court for case management conference on October 16th, 2023, and the court, having heard all parties present, finds and orders as follows. 1. Both parties appeared for the case management conference, which included a motion to withdraw by the respondent's counsel, Frank Bankowitz. 2. There were no objections to the withdrawal of respondent's counsel. 3. Frank Bankowitz is hereby removed as counsel for the respondent. 4. Counsel shall provide a more formal proposed order for this removal to be signed by the court within 10 days. 5. The case management conference discussed the status of the case, including the petitioner's requests for a reduction or elimination of alimony and for relocation. 6. The respondent is currently incarcerated in Orange County Jail pending trial on a charge of second-degree murder. 7. The court cannot hear the respondent's motion for contempt regarding unpaid alimony until after a final hearing is held on the respondent's petition for reduction or elimination of alimony. See Rosenblum v. Rosenblum, which reversed a trial court's contempt order because it was issued before the modification action was heard. 8. The respondent expressed frustration at not having matters heard and not being adequately informed about her case. 9. The court explained that the family case is on hold pending the outcome of the respondent's criminal case. 10. The court finds that permanent decisions regarding relocation and alimony should be postponed until the adjudication of the respondent's criminal case, so that circumstances are clearer. 11. The respondent was informed that she may opt for a final hearing on the petitioner's petition for alimony reduction elimination and her own contempt motion, but that the court would have to consider her current status of incarceration when making determinations. 12. The respondent was advised to ensure that any motions filed conform to the Florida Family Rules of Procedure and the Florida Rules of General Practice and Judicial Administration. This includes utilizing proper captions, titles, and certificates of service. Ordered in Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 16th day of October, 2023.
And that's that on that. He was way more respectful than I ever would. He basically just said, take you and your thirsty, sloppy ass and learn how to talk to somebody if you want something done right. Give me the proper captions, give me the proper headlines, and use your words properly. But it's so funny, like that number 8 was the only thing that the whole letter we just went through, everything we went through, he addressed it in number 8. She expressed her, frustrations about not being adequately informed and this and that. Moving on, I told her to sit her ass down and do things properly and she might get a proper response. And she gets so mad at stuff like that because they don't address every single grievance that she throws in there. She's probably like, I worked so hard to insult him. Do you know how many hours it took me to capitalize all these things, to underline them, to bold, to go through my thesaurus? These things take time. And all you're going to do is say, you heard me and that I should do it properly and that I have to wait until my criminal trial is over. Yeah, he said you could push for it the way you're pushing right now. I could make my decision, but I'll have to use you in jail to make the decision, which apparently made her step down. And I'm like, did you think that he was going to make a decision as though you weren't incarcerated? And he used case law. Mr. Owen should take note. He used case law to say, when this happens before, when I made a decision, or not when I made a decision, when a decision was made before the modifying action, i.e., will you be in jail for the rest of your life or not, it was overturned. So that's why everything is on pause. And she knows that. She knows everything is on pause. She just wants her money back now, and she's not going to get it until the criminal case is over. which is her own fault. You are the reason it kept getting postponed. You, solely you. You yourself. If you had not done the actions that you did, you would have gone to trial already, including the lawyers that had to withdraw, because many of those lawyers represented George, and that's why there was a conflict, and one of them represented Melissa. But Melissa wasn't even a witness. She was going to be a witness, and that's why that was the conflict, but she wasn't. They didn't end up calling her, so that lawyer could have stayed on with her. Not actually, but you know what I mean. But if she didn't call the police and get him arrested all these times when she knows she is the active primary aggressor, she wouldn't have had to go through lawyer after lawyer after lawyer. Although it worked out for her in the end. She got the best legal team she could have possibly gotten. She got 3 lawyers, putting everything on hold, working round the clock for her losing case, just to provide her with adequate legal representation, which she deserves and she's entitled to originally. But your behavior can alter that. And once your behavior has reached a point of just anyone you work with, it's a problem. You don't deserve anyone. And again, we see she still had issues with Mr. Owens after becoming pro se and realizing how much she was struggling and begging for help, begging so much she wrote the circus ad. She still got in trouble, or not got in trouble, but was noted that she yelled at Mr. Owens twice in jail, to the point where officers had to go and say, "Can y'all shut y'all ass up? What is going on?" And then Mr. Owens has to say, "Oh no, it's nothing," as though he's the one who would instantly start yelling. You know, the lawyer who's been doing this for 35 years, who has handled 35 years of clients, just instantly knows how to start yelling. Or is it the person who screams at anything that looks at her sideways is the one who animated things? According to her, it's everyone else's fault. But that's neither here nor there. Where we're at now is he said everything is on pause because the criminal court case is done, almost. Once you are sentenced, it will officially be done, and this case can start back up because they will 100% know what is the outcome. Are you staying in there for life or not? My guess is on the former. And if the former is correct, then your alimony is gone. Bye-bye. Can you imagine? You think Brian is going to have to pay you alimony while you're in prison for the rest of your life? You? Good luck. Good luck with that. But it's just great to me. Again, this definition of insanity, doing the same thing again, expecting a different result. She's written at least over 50 letters in the legal system, and never once, not one time, did she get the response she expected or asked for. But she did it anyway. And the court made that pretty clear, saying you can rush this if you want. I don't think you want to rush it. But also in his mind, he's like, it doesn't really matter. He's seen the case details, I'm sure, or knows enough about her criminal court case to see where things are at. That's why he postponed it. If she was up for a misdemeanor, a theft violation, or something like that, maybe the case would not have been paused as long, or to the extent that it has been due to the second-degree murder conviction. But all right, I think I have stretched this as far as I possibly can. I told you that's why I gave y'all the letter up front. And if you are in the replay crew, you can just look at that letter, my first initial read through. And then if you have things to do, you need to clean up something, you're stuck at work late, you're doing some laundry, or you're just bored, then you can sit through my entire diatribe about this letter. It's wild to me. This is one of the most Linda can't believe it either. This has been one of the most unhinged letters that she's written. And it's not really, and this is a legal motion. This wasn't even just an open letter. This was her attempting to have a motion completed. And I can't believe in the very opening letter that you saw at the very beginning of all of this, she said, please schedule my meeting, grant my motion. This was that motion, this list of demands. So, if you're out there, you officially know everything not to do if you're asking for something from the court system, especially in civil court. And just like criminal court, it will not go her way. But okay, I think I have to cut it here. Or again, like always, I'll just keep going. But yeah, so she's officially asked for a new trial. I was in the middle of finishing this when that dropped, so now I will immediately be working on that because I just have to look at that. What is she saying? What else could she possibly bring up for a reason for a new trial? Or is it just the same recycled arguments that Cranick already ruled on and will continue his ruling? He's just going to look at this and say, review my 16-page order, where I laid out every reason why I did what I did, why things had to happen the way they had to happen, and why we're in the position we're in now. She is not getting a new trial due to her actions. Double it, give it to the next judge. And with that, if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you're feeling it. Until next time.